Every year, millions of Americans walk onto used car lots, browse online listings, and hand over their hard-earned money only to discover weeks later that they bought someone else's problem. The used car market is worth over $800 billion annually in the United States alone, and buried inside that massive number is an uncomfortable truth. A significant portion of those transactions involve hidden damage, rolled-back odometers, flood-damaged vehicles, or outright fraud. But here's what the dealers and private sellers don't want you to know: getting scammed is almost entirely preventable. If you know exactly what to look for, what questions to ask, and what tools to use, you can walk into any used car purchase with confidence and walk away with a vehicle that's genuinely worth your money. This is your complete guide to buying a used car without getting scammed. Let's start with context. The used car market exploded during the COVID-19 pandemic. Supply chain disruptions crippled new vehicle production, and desperate buyers flooded the second-hand market, driving prices to historic highs. Average used car prices peaked at over $28,000 in late 2021, according to Cox Automotive data. While prices have since moderated, the market remains elevated compared to pre-pandemic norms. This surge created a perfect environment for bad actors, sellers who took advantage of inflated demand to offload damaged, misrepresented, or problematic vehicles at premium prices. Many of those vehicles are still circulating in the market today, changing hands repeatedly as each new buyer eventually discovers the problems and tries to move the vehicle along. Understanding this landscape is step 1. The used car market exists on a spectrum. On one end, you have certified pre-owned programs from manufacturers like Toyota, Honda, and Ford, vehicles that have passed multi-point inspections and typically come with extended warranty coverage. On the other end, you have as-is private sales with zero protections and zero accountability. Between those extremes lives the vast majority of transactions, and that middle ground is where most scams and misrepresentations happen. The first major category of used car fraud involves title issues. A vehicle's title is its legal identity document, and that document can be manipulated in several ways. Salvage titles are assigned to vehicles that insurance companies have declared total losses, typically after severe accidents, floods, or fires. Sellers who want to hide this history will sometimes engage in what's called title washing, moving the vehicle through states with less rigorous title reporting requirements until a clean title can be obtained. The result looks legitimate on paper but conceals serious structural or mechanical damage underneath. Always run a vehicle history report using services like Carfax or AutoCheck before committing to any purchase. These reports cost between $20 and $40 and can reveal salvage history, accident reports, flood damage designations, and odometer discrepancies. That small investment could save you thousands. The second scam category involves odometer fraud. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration estimates that roughly 450,000 vehicles are sold each year in the United States with tampered odometers. Digitally rolled back odometers are harder to detect than mechanical ones, but the evidence often shows up elsewhere. Look for wear inconsistent with the claimed mileage: worn pedal rubber, a cracked or heavily worn steering wheel, loose door handles, and scuffed seat bolsters all suggest higher actual mileage. Compare the mileage recorded on old oil change stickers, the vehicle history report, and previous inspection records. If any of those numbers don't align, walk away immediately. Flood damage is one of the most dangerous and deceptive forms of vehicle fraud. Floods can destroy a car's electrical system, promote rust formation from the inside out, and create conditions for dangerous mold growth, all while the vehicle looks perfectly acceptable from a distance. After major hurricanes like Katrina, Sandy, and Ian, tens of thousands of flood-damaged vehicles entered the used car market. To check for flood damage, look under the seats and carpets for water staining or a musty smell. Check the seatbelt anchors and under the dashboard for rust. Look at the electrical connectors under the hood. Flood-damaged vehicles often show corrosion in those connectors. Check the spare tire well, which frequently holds standing water. And again, run that vehicle history report. Now let's talk about the inspection process, which is the single most powerful tool you have as a buyer. Before finalizing any used car purchase, you should pay for an independent pre-purchase inspection conducted by a mechanic who has absolutely no relationship with the seller. This typically costs between $100 and $200 at an independent shop, and it is worth every single penny. A qualified mechanic will put the car on a lift, check for frame damage and rust, inspect the brake components, evaluate the suspension, test the drivetrain, assess fluid conditions, and look for signs of shoddy repair work. In some cases, a pre-purchase inspection has revealed damage that saved buyers from spending $10,000 or more on a vehicle that looked perfect on the surface. When you're doing your own visual inspection before the mechanic gets involved, there are specific things to check. First, examine all body panels in direct sunlight. Overspray on rubber trim, misaligned body gaps, and paint color variations between panels suggest previous accident repair. A vehicle with a clean history should have factory-perfect panel gaps and uniform paint texture across every surface. Second, open every door, the hood, and the trunk and look at the weather stripping and the edges of the openings. Uneven gaps, pulled trim, or evidence of welding in the door jambs can indicate that the vehicle has been in a collision significant enough to require structural repair. Under the hood, look for signs of fluid leaks, oil stains on the engine block, coolant residue around hoses and the radiator cap, power steering fluid around the pump and rack. Check the oil dipstick. Dark black oil on a vehicle the seller claims was recently serviced is a red flag. Pull the coolant reservoir cap and look for a brown, milky residue. That's a sign of oil mixing with coolant, which often indicates a blown head gasket, one of the most expensive repairs in automotive maintenance. Take the vehicle for a thorough test drive that lasts at least 20 to 30 minutes and covers a variety of road conditions. Drive at highway speeds to feel for vibration in the steering wheel, which often indicates wheel balance issues or bent wheels. Test the brakes firmly at various speeds and feel for pulling, pulsation, or grinding. Listen for clunking over bumps, which can signal worn suspension components. Accelerate hard from a stop and pay attention to how the transmission shifts. Hesitation, slipping, or harsh engagement all point to potential transmission trouble. Roll down all windows and drive in silence so you can hear the vehicle properly. Negotiation is another area where buyers frequently get taken advantage of. Never reveal your maximum budget up front. Research the actual market value of the specific vehicle using tools like Kelley Blue Book, Edmunds True Market Value, and listings on Cars.com and CarGurus to understand what comparable vehicles are actually selling for in your area. Use any defects you find during your inspection as negotiating leverage. A needed set of tires can justify a $600 to $800 reduction in price. Evidence of brake wear is worth another $300 to $500. Sellers who refuse to negotiate at all on a used vehicle, or who claim to have multiple other buyers waiting, a classic pressure tactic, are demonstrating exactly the kind of behavior you should walk away from without hesitation. Online purchases and remote buying have become increasingly common, and they come with their own specific risks. If you're considering buying a vehicle you can't inspect in person, require a live video walkthrough conducted by someone you can direct in real time. Ask them to show you the vehicle identification number on the dashboard and compare it to the title and the vehicle history report. Use an escrow service rather than wire transfers for payment. Wire transfers are nearly impossible to recover once sent, and they're the preferred payment method of scammers for exactly that reason. Be extremely suspicious of deals that seem too good to be true, sellers who can only communicate by text or email, and listings that appear on multiple platforms under different names.